Harmony Airways of Vancouver has announced that they'll be grounding their scheduled flights and laying off most of their 350 employees.
Ceasing scheduled services. This will take up until our last day of operation, April 9th.
The boutique carrier is owned by Vancouver billionaire David Ho, which commenced operations back in the spring of 2003 with lavish plans to be one of Canada's new charter airlines, modeled after the famous Ward Air business model. The boutique carrier is ending its scheduled flights to Toronto this Friday, and all other flights will end on April the 9th. Harmony will provide full refunds to all passengers and ticket holders.
Refunding of return portions, even though some of those tickets may have clauses saying they're non-refundable, we will refund the return portion.
David Ho insisted in a statement that the company remains a going concern and is considering a new business model. Peter Booking, a member of the Harmony Airways advisory team, stated that increased operating costs have stalled the expansion into China and forced the company to pull out of what he termed a financial freefall.
The economics of this business are brutal. So if the last 4 years have taught us anything, it's that the current model isn't working.
Sustained high fuel costs have more than doubled over the past 4 years and have hurt an airline that is already apparently reeling for 3 or 4 years of financial unprofitability. The reason for the founding of the airline was that David Ho was a customer on Canada 3000 and was on a vacation in Hawaii and had a very upsetting and extended delay with that airline and decided that he would start his own airline to address the problems. According to Booking, there's very little pricing power in the market out of Vancouver, and the service that Harmony Airways provides its passengers is very expensive.
Sustained high fuel costs, and it doesn't look like that's going to come any time. Number two, capacity. There's very little pricing power in the market, and so the service that is provided that's expensive is difficult to price against its cost.
HMY started its first scheduled operations in the spring of 2003, initially touting itself as a Ward Air-like airline offering first-class service and amenities to passengers in leisure markets from the Vancouver base, primarily to Palm Springs and Honolulu. Later services were added to Las Vegas and other markets as well.
It was a case of a full-service airline in a marketplace where it's difficult to price a premium when you don't have the scale.
That business model didn't take hold, and the company decided it needed to recast itself in a different form. And about 2 years ago, the company announced that it was entering the scheduled services market, providing scheduled passenger services from Vancouver to Toronto, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, and other destinations.
Did other airlines make a go of it in this country? What's the problem on that? Do you know?
High overhead, not enough competition.
So we need more competition.
Also, a couple of years ago, Harmony Airways announced that they were going to be operating services into China, which they viewed as a growth market for the airline. It's always sad when an airline has to close down, as many employees, of course, lose their jobs and have to find new opportunities, but there's also ripple effects to other businesses, such as travel agencies and ground handling companies and the likes. Vancouver travel agent Gail Searson said Harmony was simply too small a player to attract much impact on the market. According to one Vancouver travel agency, they had the best fares going, especially to Hawaii, but because they weren't charging enough for their tickets, they simply couldn't make the business model work, and all other passengers were going on Air Canada, which was entrenched with its Aeroplan frequent flyer program. Rumblings of trouble emerged last week when Harmony Airways announced that it wasn't going to be renewing the lease on one of its Boeing 757s. Yesterday, Harmony spokesman said that another of the company's 757s would be returned to the lessor, while the remaining 2 aircraft may be retained, although it was too early to comment on what new direction the company might have, although a charter business model might be pursued. Harmony's load factors ranged from more than 80% on its popular holiday runs to as little as 20% on the Toronto run. My name is Henry, and I'm reporting for AirlineTV.net from YVR.